All right, let's get painting. Welcome in, guys, welcome in. We're gonna work on some painting here. Keep rolling on these doors that we're working on. A lot of drying times involved with these. Gotta let the glue dry, gotta let the wood filler dry, gotta let the paint dry multiple times, multiple different places. We are getting there. Yeah, buddy. I tell you, using a brush instead of a roller, that is the longest route that you can take with something like this. I hate hand brushing little things like this. Robert Chase, what's going on, guys? Welcome back in, welcome back in. Still rolling on these shaker style cabinet door fronts that we're making for this lady. Trying to get them done so I can get them out of here. Nice and clean like. Chase, you get that box wrapped up? Robert, that cedar box you made looks great, dude. I was checking that out while I ran to the store. Ran to the store to pick up some stuff for a handful of Christmas videos that I'm making. Probably gonna work on those tomorrow. I wanted to make some tonight, but it's already getting late, 6 o'clock. It's getting there already. I love these plugs for these pocket holes, dude. These plugs, once you get a coat of paint on them, I mean, they completely disappear. You can't even tell that you had pocket hole screws in there. They're sweet. Happened upon those in on Amazon. When I was just kind of browsing around, I was looking for pocket hole screws to order in bulk and saw those plugs. And dude, they are a godsend. One for speed, and then two, just ease of use. If you haven't seen them before, I've got a video up on my channel that shows the plugs, shows how well they work, how clean they end up when you're finished. Not something I would use on a stained project or something that's, you know, naturally finished. But for paint, they are incredible. Alright, there's our first coat on the back side and both sides of our first frame. So let's get this put off to the side. Try not to get paint all over myself when I move it here. That's not gonna happen. I guess we'll just dry this one. At least dry a section so I can pick it up. Why is that not plugged in? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Looks like I got an outlet that needs replaced. It's coming loose. There we go. Trying to keep that wire up off our fresh paint. We'll just quick dry this little section here so that I can move it and get the other one up on the table. I got the doors put together off stream just so I could get them done and get the plugs put in before I took off a minute ago. So the doors are put together now, the panels are painted, we're getting the frames painted, and then we'll get the actual frames of the cabinet doors painted up. That one off to the side, and then we'll move on to the back side of this one. Right like that. All right. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome in, welcome in. Anybody that's not subscribed, if you subscribe right now, you get to see that number go up right there. That number is a live count of the subscribers on the channel. So anytime somebody new clicks that number, you get to watch it go right on up. Watching our push to 1,000 subscribers right now. We're going to skip right past 500. Just go straight to the 1,000. Getting this frame painted up so we can get it off to the lady's house soon. Chase was showing off some things that he was getting in the mail, and I didn't get a chance to see them. So I'm gonna have to go back and watch that so I can get my eyeballs on those. Sounded like some pretty cool stuff he got off eBay. This right here is how to cost effectively make some shaker style doors and face frames. Yo, what's up, Rocket? How you doing, bro? You having a good night, man? Can I flip this guy around without getting paint all over myself? Finishing up this client job. There we go. Finishing up this client job so I can get it out of here, on its way. Almost done. Got a face frame that we're making that's got some shaker style cabinet doors that are going to be mounted to it. It's a pre-existing built-in cabinet system that she paid a gentleman to come out and build for her and her husband, and he put this was actually the door that I pulled off. He put a piece of plywood that he just kind of like sanded over the edges and painted it white and threw a couple really cheap crappy hinges on it. Really cheap, crappy handle. So we're fixing his work, giving him a nice little one-up. Gonna have a whole new face frame, a whole new shaker style door to match the breakfast cabinet or the serving cabinet that I made for her. So then she's gonna have kind of a whole matching set throughout her house with her dining table, her serving cabinet, and her fireplace. All matching. Really cool client. They're really stoked with the work, stoked with the projects. Keep coming back. We like repeat clients. They're working with kind of a budget, so we're using pine for everything. So I'm showing how to use, pocket hole screws and plugs with those. And after you paint them, you can't even tell that there's pocket hole screws there. So it saves you a lot of time on your traditional joinery methods. Saves you a lot of money on materials, since it's all getting painted anyways. Everything's gonna be, glued and screwed in place to the cabinet frame, so we know that it's never going to go anywhere. And as a result, they get a quick fix up that also doesn't kill their pocketbook. And I get a bunch of returning work and something to do with all of my scrap pieces that I otherwise would just be throwing on the fire pit. Kind of a waste if you're just hanging on to little 1.5 inch chunks of pine. So this gives me something to do with it to where I'm actually making some money and giving them some value too. So that's one coat on this one coat on that one. I'm gonna dry a little spot on this so I can actually pick it up and swap these back and forth. We'll get our second coat on that one. I don't know if you've ever seen a tool like this. It's called the Ball Warmer 3000. They're pretty cheap, they're like 25 bucks, and they actually double up uses. You can dry paint with them too. It ought to be dry enough to move. Let's get this guy swapped. The Ball Warmer 3000. I wonder if I clean up some of this shit, if I can just get both of these up here at once and not have to keep swapping these over. Give me just a second. I'm gonna clear some of this stuff out of the way here. Rocket I got. Thought you would think these are pretty cool. So I got this little, it's like a ball socket that's got a 1/4-20 thread adapter on the end, so you can mount a camera to it. Or if you're using a phone, you can get like one of the camera mount systems for a phone. But the bottom of it has this plate, so you can mount it, you know, to pretty much anything that you want. So I'm gonna put one elbow on the ceiling that's on a plate, and then I'm gonna make an arm that has an elbow that you can kind of like extend up to the ceiling when you're not using it, but you can pull it down and swivel it around, you know, wherever you need it. And then it's gonna have a camera mount on there, and with the ball socket on the camera mount, you can either have it horizontal for when you're filming long form, or if you're wanting to film short form, it flips all the way down to 90 degrees, and you can lock it in at 90 degrees to do vertical video too. But found these, it's like a little 2-pack, it was like 12 bucks on Amazon. And then I'm gonna use a 2x4 and just rip it in half and just make like 1.5 by 1.5 little 2x2 arms for it that have thumb screws that you can tighten up. So you get your camera wherever you want it, you tighten them up, you roll. If you got to move over to a saw or something, you just loosen it, pivot it around, you're ready to roll again. Pretty cool stuff. get this other one up here. Get this other one up here so that we can roll on both these guys at the same time. Oh yeah. Look at that. Look at that. Our music died. Hang on. Let's get that rolling again. I need to put that on repeat. There we go. Fix that problem. Alright, let's get our second coat on these frames so that we can flip them and get our two coats on the other side. These pocket hole plugs work so well that by the time you're done painting, I can't even tell which side is the back side and which side is the front anymore. If you guys haven't seen the commands that you can use, type in !commands and Nightbot will send you a link that shows all the different commands you can use here in the chat. Termite walks into a bar and asks, "Is the bartender here?" Hey, that's kind of a woodworking joke. Painting and painting and painting away. Sorry for the coughing, guys. Been sick all day now. Feeling it today. Can I get to the other side without messing up my paint here on this side? Let's do something like, oh, come on. There we go. Something like that. Making sure to hit these insides while I do the back here, so that way when I get to the front, all I have to worry about maintaining is our nice clean cabinet front. We don't have to worry about getting these sides or anything, you know, causing any problems while we paint the fronts. I'm just gonna walk around and get this one here. There we go. Make sure we don't have any kind of weird drippy spots. I think we're in pretty good shape. All right. Now we need the fronts of these to dry so that we can flip them over and paint the other side. So I'm probably going to go through with a heat gun and accelerate that process. Let's do that. Let's do that. Now you don't want to get too close with your heat gun, because if this white paint gets too hot, it'll bubble and burn. And you'll see it leaves kind of an off-white color. So I try to spread the heat out, you know, keep the heat gun moving, keep it about 3 or 4 inches up off of the surface. Just like that right there, we're already dry on that side. Really only worried about drying our flat side here for our back. So that way when we flip it over, it's not going to stick. The sides can continue to just dry on their own. Easy peasy. Easy peasy. Not doing anything difficult here. Literally watching paint dry right now. Doesn't get more exciting than that. Need a stool so while I've got things drying I can just sit down and chill out. Anytime I'm standing up I feel like I need to be doing something. Could just as easily sit down and take a break. Let these dry on their own. Watch this all day. Well, you're in luck, because we're stuck here. Told myself I'm gonna have these finished tomorrow, so gotta finish painting these today and clear up the space. Anybody new, welcome in, welcome in. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so we can watch that number right there go up. Let's flip these guys over and we'll start putting our coats on the top of the frame, the front of the frame. Big ol' nasty drips we need to address or anything. All seems nice and clean to me. Wait, let's just keep rolling. What do you call two guys hanging out by your window? Kurt and Rod. Kurt and Rod. Rolling right along. I'll step around here and get the front of these real quick. One coat on the front. So these are our frames for our shaker cabinet doors that we're putting on a client's house. Getting the paint on these so that they're completely finished. These are the face frame pieces. And then we've got two shaker style doors that we've made in the past couple of streams. You can see we use pocket holes to put them together, keeping everything cheap, everything quick and easy. These should be dried up now. I want to finish these before we actually move on to sanding and painting these. And after we sand these, we need to look, and a lot of times you need to put some wood filler in these gaps here just to finish closing everything up. So hit them with wood filler, sand those down, and then we're ready to get these painted and finished out. Now is probably a pretty good point to take a break for the evening. We've got our holes plugged on these, so those are drying and setting up. We've got our face frames painted with two coats once I get the second coat on the top here. And then that way we can let those dry overnight before we actually take them off the table. And tomorrow we'll come in, we'll sand these down, we'll get them filled, we'll get them painted, and then that way we're completely done and we're set up to get hinges rolling at their house when we actually install them. So I think I'm gonna call it there. We've been live for about 40 minutes or so. I wasn't gonna do a third stream tonight, I was just gonna wait till tomorrow. Decided to go ahead and see what I can get finished on these before I leave the shop today. So it was good seeing everybody. Thanks for popping in, to everyone that stayed in to watch for a while. Everything is really helping the channel right now. I really appreciate everyone that goes back and watches my VODs. That means a lot to me. I really need the watch time right now so that we can get our channel monetized, and this can actually become an income for my wife and I. Something that I'm really working really hard at, and I'd really like to see succeed. So thank you guys for tuning in. Thanks to anyone that came back and watched the VOD. I'm going to have a lot of videos posted here in about the next week of some Christmas builds. Things that you guys can sell, things you can make for home, or you can make for gifts for friends and family. So make sure you watch out for those. On that note, I think I'm going to rock and roll out of here, because I think we're at a pretty good stopping point. So I'll catch everybody again tomorrow when we go live.